Welcome to News in Motion. Good morning. Good morning. I am Deborah Johnson, and I am sitting in for Gail Dudley today. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Adrian Gladish. This has been a weird morning already. It's been raining really hard, and we're getting weird signals. So if for some reason you come in but can't stay in, or you get knocked off, come back on. Just something might be happening with the signal because of the rain. So we're hoping everyone can get in and find us this morning. But good morning. Good morning. So glad to have you here. News in Motion is a grassroots and aggregated news outlet sharing relevant commentary and a call to action mixed with an inspirational message. And our News in Motion family is joining us live from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. There are people in our cars, so anybody driving along on audio and listening to us, thank you for tuning in. Please keep your eyes on the road this morning. It's wet here in Ohio. A big part of the Southwest, it's raining. So please keep your eye on the road. Today's show is going to be really good. We have a local guest author this morning who spins heartwarming and real stories about Black love while tackling real serious life issues. So push that like button and that share button so people can get in here. Looks like people are slow getting in here this morning, so we're hoping that the signals are coming through, that where connections are good. But we're going to move right ahead with our show this morning. It's Hump Day, Adrian Gladish says, and it's really Hump Day. It's the middle of the week, and of course, raining in the middle of the week. I want to start our show though today. Yesterday, we asked for your prayers for our own host of Game Over, Kenny Stanley. Knew he was having some kind of issue yesterday, found out that Kenny had surgery yesterday very successfully, and he is on the mend. We are thanking God for the good news. Let's show Kenny some love today by going to Facebook to his wall and flooding it with good well wishes, your prayers, letting him know that we're thinking about him. We know the issues can pop up out of nowhere, but we can always trust that our prayers can get through. So we're asking the Lord to give Kenny a miraculous recovery. Kenny, we miss you, and we pray that you will be back here with us soon. So how's everybody doing this morning? It seems very strange that we are not getting our normal feed. I don't know how this is going to work today, but guess what? We're going to keep going and see what's going on from there. This is looking like we're having a slow feed coming in today, and I hope that we get that resolved. But in other news, let's start with our breaking story this morning. Some of you may have heard here in Ohio, NBC4 reports after less than 3 years at Ohio State University, President Christina M. Johnson will resign at the end of the school year. Less than 3 years. About halfway through her 5-year contract, Johnson's short tenure was marked by the COVID-19 pandemic, continued legal battles with survivors of former Ohio State physician Richard Strauss, and the fatal shooting of a student near a fraternity park. It also included Johnson's ambitious goals to achieve carbon neutrality on campus by 2040, hire diverse tenure-track faculty, and implement a program for students to graduate debt-free in 4 years. A source told NBC4 that Johnson was originally set to announce her resignation Tuesday after a request from the university's Board of Trustees, with Johnson allegedly having contentious relationships with several members of the board. Additional sources said Johnson is being held personally responsible for the departure of at least 2 high-ranking university officials. In her resignation announcement Monday, Johnson said she made the difficult decision to step down after the commencement in May. Johnson will have been the second shortest tenure as president at Ohio State, behind only former Ohio State President Walter Q. Scott, who served from 1881 to 1883. That does not include interim and acting presidents. Anyone who knows anything about university life, it's a huge, huge undertaking. With second largest campus in the United States, huge undertaking. I wish her well as she moves forward. Good morning, Shirley Nicholson. It's so good to see you. People are coming in slowly this morning. The feed has been slow this morning. So we hope with the rain and everything else that we still have a wonderful show. In other news, CNN reports the Senate on Tuesday passed legislation to protect same-sex and interracial marriage, called the Respect for Marriage Act. In a landmark bipartisan vote, the final vote was 61 to 36. The bill was supported by all members of the Democratic caucus and 12 Republicans, the same dozen GOP members who backed the bill for a procedural vote earlier this month. The House will now need to approve the legislation before sending it to President Joe Biden's desk to be signed into law. The House is expected to pass before the end of the year, possibly as soon as next week. As you know, there's going to be a shift in power in the House come next year, and things are starting to get done. Good morning, Marian Jackson. It's so good to see you this morning. It's good to see people coming in this morning. For those of you who are tuning in late, we just want to let you know our own Kenny Stanley is doing well. Had surgery yesterday and is now on the mend. Please go to his wall, send him some love. We miss Kenny this morning. We'll be missing him tomorrow, but we're just glad that he's doing well. Well, you know, he's at it again. Twitter will no longer stop users from spreading false information about COVID-19 virus or vaccines, according to an update on its content moderation policies. This is being reported by Politico. It's another major shift under new owner Elon Musk, who has pressed for free speech above all else on the platform. Twitter's COVID-19 misinformation page was updated with a note saying that as of November 23rd, the platform would no longer enforce its policies against spreading misleading information on the virus and vaccine. Wait a minute, did I read that right? The platform will no longer enforce its policies against the virus and vaccines, which has led to more than 11,000 account suspensions since 2020. That's kind of crazy, right? So misinformation is just going to be on the loose. Since its takeover, Musk has fired huge swaths of this company, including thousands of contract and full-time employees who are responsible for content moderation. At the same time, several top executives overseeing content moderation policies and enforcement, including Twitter's former head of trust and safety, Yoel Roth, have left the company. Well, let's just think about this, that there's no content, that the content's not going to be vetted. So people can just put things out there. Things like take bleach, it'll get rid of COVID. That seems really scary. It just seems like people's health could be in jeopardy. It's really, really crazy. And I'm sorry to hear that. I hear Marian Jackson saying can't get in NewsInMotion on Facebook. So we're hoping everything's going to be okay with that works out. But we're just so glad that you came in, that you got in the way you could get in. I'm glad to have you here. We've got a special guest today. And so we're glad to have folks in to be able to interact with us this morning. On a sad note, Clarence Gilliard, the actor best known for playing Theo, the computer hacker Theo in Die Hard, and Naval Flight Officer Marcus Sundown Williams in Top Gun, has died at the age of 66. His death was announced Monday in a statement from the UNLV, University of Nevada at Los Angeles, where he had been working as an associate professor in College of Fine Arts. The UNLV film chair, Heather Addison, remembered Gilliard as a beacon of light and a strength for everyone around UNLV. She added, whenever we asked him how he was, he would cheerfully declare he was blessed. I have watched the Die Hard series more times than I can even tell you. And so I'll remember him well. And my condolences go out to the family. Adrian Gladys, you're right. It's very, very dangerous for people to put out misinformation. Here at NewsInMotion, we work really hard to make sure the stories that go out are vetted. We don't want anyone to have dangerous information, misinformation, something that leads them astray. We'd rather not report something than to report something that's just not true. So we're really sorry to to see that happening. And we're hoping that people take heed, take note, follow up on their own. When you get some information, even if it's on this platform, when you get some information, do the vetting yourself. This is just the beginning. When you hear about it, go back and check it to make sure that what you know is what you've read is really the truth. You might have to look at 3 or 4 different sources to make sure that it is what it's supposed to be. It just goes that way. So we just want to make sure, that people understand everything that's out there on the net is not true. And now we know that everything that's out in Twitter is really not going to be vetted. Misinformation is now welcome on that platform. And so just beware. Make sure you do your own due diligence in doing what you have to do. So at this time, we're going to shift and go into an interview today. And our interview today is with a woman who is from the Columbus area. She has been a librarian for a long time, most of her career. She started as a librarian, and she has taken her love of books and now is weaving tales of the Black family that are heartwarming, that are dealing with serious major issues. And she's turning a short story, or she has turned a short story into a trilogy that is really page turner. And so we want to welcome this morning Cheryl Owens as she talks with us about her Move In With Me saga of the Gaines family. Welcome, Cheryl. Come on in.
Good morning. Good morning. And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to all librarians out there. If you really want to know what is valid information, call or visit your public library and ask the staff there. That's one of the things that we did for it and still do is vet everything before we tell you this is fact. So, okay, that's my shout out to librarians all across the country. Good morning.
Good morning. I love that. Good morning. And in fact, you were the person that helped me to understand that some of the content I was paying for, trying to get an article that I needed to do research, I could get for free at the library. You just have to know where to find it. Right, I didn't realize I had to go to that A to Z section and then look under there. That really, even some of the research that you can do for your ancestry can be done right there at the library for free without having to pay a fee. So that library card takes us a long way. And just want to tell you, so glad that they finally got rid of those fees, right?
Right.
I think I probably built a couple of libraries with the fees. So, hey, it's so good to have you here this morning. This show goes really fast, but we really want to hear about Move In With Me and your 2 other books that go along with that, okay?
Okay.
And I've loved following the story of the Gaines family. They have such rich characters. Tell me, were you surprised by all the feedback and the buzz your books are receiving?
Absolutely. It's amazing to me. I was waiting for some negative feedback. I have received none. And initially that really shook me for a loop because everybody really likes my stories. And I'm really pleased with that because it tells me I'm going in the right direction, writing about the Gaines family. These are people that they're kind of like the silent majority of African Americans. These are middle class Black people. They're not into drugs. They don't curse. They're not into sports per se. They're not high academic. They're regular everyday people. The main characters are senior citizens, and I chose senior citizens because one of the things I found out in reading books is you don't really see people over the age of, say, 45 or so as major characters in fiction, and especially not in African American fiction. So why not? We're not dead yet. We're still out there kicking it and doing things. We're still movers and shakers, sometimes in the background because we've decided to step back and let younger people take over, but we're still the people that they refer to or come back to. We have lives, and we're trying to keep it quiet that we have lives because people keep knocking on our door saying, "Hey, you're retired? Can you do?" No. We have lives, and that's one of the things that I wanted this book to portray.
Let me just ask you this, right? When you talk about that piece, one thing that intrigued me about your story was that your characters finding love in your 60s.
Yeah.
Elliot, who's never been married,
Right.
and then finds Thea and they fall in love.
Right.
Your stories have roots, like right here in Columbus.
Right.
How did you decide that? How did you choose Columbus as the spot?
I've been told several times in the past, write what you know.
Right.
I've lived in Columbus over 30 years, and so Columbus is home for me. And because I lived here in my adulthood, I kind of know this place. I know the the ins and outs. I know places and people and so forth. And this environment, Columbus is a test market for just about everything.
It's
So
true.
why not? Why not Columbus? I guess I could have written about other cities, but I don't know them. I don't know
Right.
the streets. I don't know how it feels.
So
So
that's yeah,
that I think has a lot to do with the development of your character. Now, Columbus isn't a major aspect, but we know, those of us who live in Columbus, when I say they live in Bexley or I say something about Morris Road, people relate to that. They know
that's right.
exactly what I'm talking about or where we are.
That's a really
And I
good
think
point
that
that
I
you're
think
making.
that has that helps people connect, which is another reason why
Absolutely.
I wrote these books. Because for a long time, let me go back. When they started writing children's books, because kids kept saying, I don't see me in these books. And they felt that the way to get people to read, children to read, was because they were reluctant readers and
Yeah.
they couldn't relate to the characters. So they started writing books for African American students, with pictures of kids in there that looked like them and had stories that they could relate to. Well, what happens to the older people? You know,
Yeah.
people have been writing books about various and sundry aspects of African American life, but they haven't been writing about everyday life, which might sound boring, but in
Right.
reality, when you think about your life and you look back over it, most people have done fantastic things in their lives and nobody knows about it.
That's
But
true.
wouldn't it be nice to read about people who are just your everyday people? You wouldn't recognize them on the street for anybody or anything in particular, but they have vibrant lives.
Well, let's talk about that vibrant life. In this series with the Gaines family, you're tackling some serious issues. I mean, they get really interesting. It's either the thought of, in my 60s, do I really want to move in with somebody? I mean, do I want to be their, person that I'm living with, not the person that I'm married to? You're
Right.
dealing with male menopause,
Yep.
really? I mean,
Yep.
it's in a real serious way.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and also the aspect of um people
there's
who are,
incarceration you were dealing
well,
with. And
incarceration, but dag, I can't come up with the right word. People who are don't have homes. Sonia's story.
right, exactly.
Sonia
Exactly.
was a foster. That's what I was
Foster
couldn't have said.
children, yeah.
Foster
Foster
children.
families.
So and what can that can be like. So I'm using those things because these are things that I actually know something about. Not necessarily personally, but I've been aware of the foster care situation. And yeah, male menopause, it's a thing. Don't
Boy, it seems so
it's not
real when I
all
was
us.
reading that
It
whole
is not
thing.
all women, okay? Men have
Yes,
issues too. You call it change of life. I don't care what you call it. It sticks with them. They don't want to deal with it. We need to bring that out and have people talk about these things. So,
well,
and
let's
that's the
talk
other
about
thing.
that. I wanna
Yeah.
ask you this. Do you believe that this series is gonna be a catalyst for important conversations in the Black family? Some of these things you've been talking about is not something that comes up over the dinner table,
Nope.
comes up
Nope. Nope.
between couples.
Yeah.
Um, was that one of your thoughts when you were writing about these particular subjects?
Well, again, yes, and to highlight that everyday life is interesting. And these are things that happen in everyday life. If you live long enough, you're going to go through menopause if you're male or female. It's going to
Yes,
happen. And let's get that out there and talk about it and hopefully save a few marriages and a couple of lives. I mean, back in the day, back in the 40s and 50s, a lot of women wound up in mental institutions because people thought they were crazy going through menopause. So
right,
I'm
that's
glad
true.
those days are over, but still there's still that stigma about it. So let's talk about it and let's eliminate the stigma. Let's talk about foster care. Let's talk
Right.
about senior citizens and their lives, their websites for senior dating nowadays. Okay.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, because the baby boomers are not, we're still booming. Okay.
Yeah.
So since we're still booming and people die off and you want to have a relationship or you never had one before, now is the time. Now is the time to recreate yourself. Now is the time to live.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at your books. Move In With Me. You've got Tangled Webs. You got The Ties That Bind. Every time I do it, I'm tracking Sonia. I'm tracking these stories. I'm tracking to see what happens when they go overseas. How does that work? I mean, you take them from Serbia to Paris to all over. Honestly, it's
Uh-huh.
really interesting. Do you
Yeah.
do you do you think that one day this is going to be kind of a la Kimberly Lawson Roby, where the Gaines family become like, you know, the other family in our house?
Could be. I would that would be amazing. And I hope that our listeners today, our viewers today will be curious enough to pick these books up because we're not really telling you the story, but hopefully we're planting enough seeds for you to want to know who the Gaines are, what they're all about. When I wrote a Move In With Me, I have to say that Deb was a catalyst for me writing this book because I told her, I had this line that came to my mind that says, "Move in with me." And I started giving her the scenario. She said, "Oh, you got to write the book." I said, "I'm not writing a
Oh
book."
yeah, yeah. It was way more than a short story. It needed to,
Yeah,
and you
yep.
took a short story and made it into a saga. We cannot wait to hear what's to come. If you haven't gotten a copy of any of these books, you need to start with Move In With Me. Move In With Me will captivate you from the very first lines. And you start to meet these really rich characters. How do people get a copy of your book if they want to read the series?
All of my books are on Amazon, so you can find them there. Either search for my name, Cheryl Owens, with an Sheryl Owens, or just Amazon the title. Move In
And if
With Me.
people want to contact you directly, can they email you?
Yes, they can. They can email me at owens.cheryl@gmail.com. They can catch me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'm in Columbus, so
So on Facebook, you actually have a Move In With Me
with
page.
me page, yes,
Yes,
on
yes.
Facebook, or
That
you
has
can
all of your books.
connect with me on as Cheryl Owens on Facebook. Either way, any way you want to, I'm available. I am also available for Zoom in book discussions. So if you want to read my books with a group and want me to chime in and be your leader through that, I would love to do that. So I appreciate you listening this morning and engaging in our conversation.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing more from you. And I can't wait. I can't wait to the next one. I've already finished Ties That Bind. I want to know what's next. I can't, I love Paris. So I can't
Yep.
wait to see what
Yep.
happens when the whole
I guess
family
I guess
shows up at.
eventually I'll have to get them to Paris. They're en
Yes.
route right now, so they'll eventually land, and the adventure will continue.
That's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much, Cheryl. We are so excited that you're here. We wish you well with the books, and we're looking forward to this story continuing.
Thank you very much.
All
Thanks.
righty. This has been some kind of morning, guys. We have not been able to have interaction on Facebook. And I didn't know when I put together the inspirational message that I was going to be speaking to myself as well. Isn't that just how it is sometimes? The inspirational message today is trust the process. I'm trying not to have anxiety over the fact that our NewsInMotion family that we see every single morning, Monday through Thursday, is not flooding our stream. But we have to trust the process this morning. I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's the rain. I don't know if there's a disconnect between our platform. Make sure that, if you talk to anyone else after this, that they'll go back and they'll see the replay, that we'll get it back out there and that it's linked up. And so later on today, we'll work on that and get that going. I'm just so glad that you were able, Mike Nicholson, to get in. Lori Williams Wallace, you were able to get in. We have to trust the process, right? Today is the last day of November. And some of us are coming into the home stretch of the year. I don't know about you, but sometimes that comes with anxiety. That comes with, I can't believe 30 days, there were only 30 days in November. Why wasn't there 31? Oh, goodness. Now tomorrow is December. So when we hit tomorrow, we're thinking it's the last month of the year, the last month to get the things that we need to get done so we can say we got them done at the end of the year. All of a sudden, our blood pressure's up, our anxiety's ramped up. But I just want to encourage you that we have to trust the process. That's a simple message today. Trust that the seeds that you're sowing and you've been sowing all year are going to bear fruit. They're going to fall on good ground. Trust that still small voice that tells you it's enough. You don't have to do all this all at one time. Trust the process. Trust the process when sometimes it just doesn't seem to be working out the way you want it to work out. And you've worked so hard at it. Trust the process. I want you to trust the process when it doesn't work out at all. Sometimes God blocks our view of what we think things should be because he has something better for us, something way better. But we have to trust his process. So as we look ahead to what's coming up, trust the process. When issues crop up out of nowhere, when I talked to Kenny on Monday, when we all saw him reporting the show on Monday, Kenny was not thinking about surgery on Tuesday. Kenny was thinking about, I'll see you on Thursday. The last thing he said was, see you on Thursday morning. But guess what? God had something else in mind. But guess what? He's okay now. Whatever was going on with that surgery, it needed to go on right now. His plans for Thursday have been thwarted, but for good reason, because God was working for his good. We have to trust the process. When we're making our plans, understand we make the plans, but God rolls out the process. He rolls out the path. It may zig and he may zag, but at the end, we're going to wind up right where we're supposed to be. What we need to do every day is manifest great things. Expect the very best out of every day. I could be very frustrated and stressed out right now as I'm looking at our normal stream, and our NewsInMotion family is not here the way we're normally here. I could spend time being diverted with that, or I could trust the process. I'm not sure what this is about. I don't know if it's the rain. I don't know if it's something else. What I do know is the people who got through on this feed this morning, this message was for you. Deuteronomy 31:8 says, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Trust the process. Absolutely. God already knows our tomorrow. You're so right. God already knows, Kim Edmondson, our tomorrow. All we have to do is stay true to our own assignment, and things are going to work out well. This has been a shorter broadcast. It's been a meaningful broadcast. We're so excited for our guests coming on today. I'm so excited that you made time in your schedule today to be with us. And I want to encourage you, no matter what goes on, no matter what happens with the rain, if you see a detour, if you have to stop when you want to go, trust the process. Have a great week. See you tomorrow.